you need $92,000. That's what most people believe before they even start looking. 20% down, no exceptions, or the bank laughs you out of the building. Except that number is fiction, and the real one is stranger, cheaper, and honestly a little unsettling once you see it, because the actual median down payment in America right now isn't 20%. It's not even close, and the gap between what people think they need and what buyers are actually putting down is quietly keeping millions of qualified people renting for years longer than they have to. I know how that sounds. Let me earn it. Here's the number the National Association of Realtors actually published. The median home sale price at the end of last year sat around $415,000, and the median down payment across every single buyer, first-timers and veterans combined, came in at 19% of that. Not 20, 19. Close enough that people round it up in their heads and treat it like law, but split that number apart by experience, and the real story shows up. Repeat buyers, the ones cashing out equity from a home they already own, put down 23%. First-time buyers, the ones actually asking the question you're asking right now, put down a median of just 10%. 10% on that same $415,000 home is about $41,500, not $83,000, half of what the myth demands. And it gets looser than that. A conventional loan can require as little as 3% down. FHA loans start at 3.5. VA and USDA loans, for buyers who qualify, can require nothing down at all. So the honest range for a first-time buyer isn't a wall at 20%. It's a spectrum starting near zero. The 20% figure isn't wrong because someone made it up out of thin air. It's wrong because it describes a repeat buyer with 15 years of home equity behind them, and it got copy-pasted onto everyone else as if a 28-year-old buying their first place has the same starting line as someone selling a paid-down house. They don't. And treating them the same is where the fear comes from. Here's what that fear actually costs. Every year spent saving up to 20% is a year spent paying someone else's mortgage instead of your own. And the data on what that delay costs is not gentle. Housing economists have tracked what happens when a typical first-time buyer waits, say, from their early 30s into their 40s, chasing a bigger down payment. The lost years of appreciation and equity building add up to something in the neighborhood of 6 figures. Not because the wait was reckless, because the house doesn't wait for you. It keeps appreciating whether you're standing inside it building equity or standing outside it paying rent to someone who is. So why does the 20% myth survive? Because it isn't entirely wrong. It's just incomplete. Put down less than 20%, and most lenders require private mortgage insurance, an extra monthly cost that protects the bank, not you. That part is true. What gets left out is the math on whether avoiding that monthly fee is actually worth delaying your purchase by 3, 5, sometimes 7 years. Sometimes it is. Often, once you run the real numbers, it isn't even close. And that's exactly where this gets interesting, because 2 buyers can start on the exact same day, earning the exact same income, and one decision about that percentage is about to split their financial lives completely apart. Meet the 2 buyers. Same age, 32. Same income, $80,000 a year. Same city, same $415,000 house. Sitting on the same street, closing on the same afternoon. The only difference is what they carried to the table. Buyer 1, we'll call her Dana, waited. She spent 6 years scraping together 20%, which on this house is $83,000. She finally has it. She closes with no PMI, and her monthly payment is lean. Buyer 2, we'll call him Marcus, put down 10%, about $41,500, the actual first-time buyer median, and he bought 2.5 years earlier than Dana did. He pays PMI, roughly $180 a month, until his equity crosses that 20% line on its own. Here's the part almost nobody runs the numbers on. Marcus's house started appreciating the day he signed. Even a modest 3% a year in home value growth means that by the time Dana finally closes on her house, Marcus's has already gained roughly $32,000 in value he never lifted a finger for. His PMI over those 2.5 years cost him around $5,400 total. Compare that to the $32,000 in appreciation he captured just by being an owner 2.5 years sooner. And the PMI isn't a penalty. It's closer to a small, cheap toll for getting on the road early. And Dana's $41,000 head start, the extra she saved chasing 20% while she was saving it, rent didn't pause for her. At a modest $1,800 a month over those same 2.5 years, she paid roughly $54,000 to a landlord, building equity in someone else's asset instead of her own. Run this forward 15 years, both homes appreciating at that same modest 3%, both buyers paying down their mortgages on schedule, and Marcus isn't just ahead. He's ahead by both the years of appreciation he captured early and the rent he never had to pay to get there. Dana's disciplined 20% wasn't wrong. It just cost her something no spreadsheet labeled clearly: time. And time, in real estate, is the one input compounding never forgives you for wasting. None of this means barrel in with the bare minimum down and no cushion. That's its own kind of reckless. If your rate goes up because your credit or your debt load pushes it there, if a low down payment stretches your monthly budget to the edge, the math flips fast and ugly. Closing costs alone typically run 2 to 5% of the home price on top of your down payment. And skipping that reserve to squeeze into a house you can barely afford is how people end up house poor instead of house rich. The goal was never the smallest number possible. It was the smallest number that still lets you sleep at night and still gets you in the door years sooner than the myth told you that you could go. So here's the real answer to how much you need to buy a house in 2026. It's not 20%. For most first-time buyers, it's closer to 1/10 of that home's price, sometimes less, as long as your budget, your reserve, and your rate can actually carry it. The 20% rule wasn't a rule at all. It was a leftover habit from a different generation's mortgage market, quietly costing today's buyers years they didn't need to lose. You need $92,000. That's what most people still believe walking into this video. And now you know the real median first-time buyer put down less than half that and started building equity years before the myth would have let them. The lesson was never save more. It was ask better questions about what enough actually means. So before you delay another year chasing a number nobody's actually hitting, go find out what your real number is. And if you want more breakdowns like this one, stick around. There's a lot more myth left to bust.